2, 1, stop, 3, 2, 1, stop, 3, 2, 1, go. Hello and welcome to Easy Boards again, but this time we're in the big board, and what we're going to do here is, I explained before, we're going to try and help you understand how things work and how we structure it, okay? So we're going to do it very quick still, but we're going to explain this a little bit first, because what we want you to do is still have your little section and you're going to write a little bit about yourself, okay? So in this area, what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to separate the board, right? And we're going to put it in 2 sections. So we've got one area here and a middle bit here. Draw a line down on yours, right? But not only that, we've got another section over here, and this is a very important one, right? So it's a little bit bigger, but you can actually put over there. You have the one section over there, middle section here, and the section there, right? So what we're then going to do is we're going to just explain how it all works. So what we remember is what is each one. That we do need to start writing down, and this bit is a control area, right? That's the first bit. This bit over here is a checklist area, right? So we're going to write that down, and also what you have in the middle is a very important plan, right? Important plan. So what we're going to do in this very important plan is we're just going to summarize it first with the control area, right? So what does that mean? And in the control area, what level are we in? Well, can you believe it? We're in the bronze. So here we go, we're in the bronze section, and that is all about understanding, right? Good, understanding it in the right way. Right, but also we're in a jigsaw piece, and as we said before, we're in piece number 1, and that jigsaw piece number 1 is all about time. So that's one of the most important things we're going to look at. The next thing is we're going to do this fairly quick, but it's going to take a few minutes, because normally we do it quicker than this, but we're doing it for 9 minutes because it takes a little bit longer because it's your very first start of one. So we're 9 minutes, right? And not even just that, we're still maintaining a life example, which is all about the car. We're in a car. So we're keeping this example there, and it's all about the example of being in a car. We're going to come back to that. But what we're going to do first, if we need to just make sure that when we're in the right section, is this right for you? Well, it is, because we're going to do the most incredible bits of foundation, the most important bits to do. And what we're going to use is this, the black pen, because the black pen is the black is the facts. I want to stick with it, right? So we're going to do this first. I'm going to make sure that you give these foundation elements right up there. Most people spend more time planning their next couple of weeks holidays for the year than they do looking at the personal situation going forward for the future in the planning. So what we're going to do, nobody is too busy if they can find the time. We're going to try and create the time for you, but I've got to be quick because this is the first part we're going to do. So what we're going to use, we're going to use the big board. We're going to build this foundation in the most important and interesting way, and not only that, but we're going to be doing it in some example results that I'm going to use me, so you're going to learn a bit more about me in just that way. But what we're going to do, we're going to be sure that it gives you some head start so that you can get things going. So are you ready? Right, let's go. So what we're going to do for the first bit, in time, I'm just going to draw a line, and the line is just a timeline, and believe it or not, it has a big position, which is a start position. And a start position is something the same for me and you. It's actually all about, well, believe it or not, we started, we were born, right? There's also going to be another position later on, which is a finish position, right? Now, again, I'm not saying anything other than that it's a finish, but again, it's going to be for me and you. And this is our finish, you know, the current existence we have, and that's going to be it. But we have a start and a finish, it's a fact, right? Well, I started, obviously, I started at 0 because I was born. And when I was born, I was there just thinking, okay, well, I'm born, what the heck am I going to do? So also, I'm going to tell you something else, which is where I currently am, is that I am 43. Now, I know I don't look quite 43, but I am. Anyway, All at the same time, there's going to be a finish, but I don't want to know anything like that just yet. It's just about the fact. I'm also going to make a little break in the time. So it's okay, I know it's from the 0, but when I started getting to the age of 25, that's when really, forward from there, a proper adult position started. Things were different for me, but younger than that I am. Now, you could put a different age, 18 or 21 or whatever, but this is just a preference. I'm going to come back to you on this later. But we'll put 2 facts in there, but this is about me, who's Paul, right? But there's also somebody else, and she's called Sarah. So Sarah is my wife, and Sarah is also, if it's at the age of 25, she's now 34, so her age is slightly different. She's a bit younger than me, but also there's another female that's younger than me, and she's called Fern. So the 2 girls, she was marked at 0, but she's only 5 now, so we just marked those down. But also, having just marked those down, it's important because we're still in the black fact, but Mr. Checklist, and who's Mr. Checklist? Mr. Checklist is a man who's going to hold the checklist pen, and he wants things recorded, right? So what we have to do is say, okay, we're going to mark these down. And what he wants to know is, number 1, that is Paul. But what he wants to know for Paul, he wants to know that part 1 of his checklist is 1A, and that's the 25, and 1B, and that's his age now. So at A and B, he just wants to know what it is. Well, this is 40, excuse me, this is 25, and this is 43. But also he wants to know about Sarah. He just wants to know her position in the checklist. And the position for her, A, is 25, but it's number 2A, and 2B is her current age now. So she's 25, and she's 34. And we even want to know about Fern, and she is number 3, which is A, which obviously was 0, but 3, which would be B, and that's 5. So 0 and 5 was for number 3, which that's Fern, right? Now, wow, look what we've done. We've just done something real, and we just put it together. But these are all the facts. It's the age, the current, there's a time, position, it's start and finish, and that's it. And that's all we're going to do today, because you're just building these foundations. But look what's important. If you don't do something like this and you want to go further, it's harder. But what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to show you how to go further. And when you put something together, you start building and building and building a plan up. Right. So it's very important. And even if in this example, I'm driving a car, I need to know the facts of the people who are in the car. So before I set off and drive and go off, I just want to make sure not just these people's ages and things. There's a time limit in the car. We're going to do it for so long. We're going to be doing this. There's lots of other things to consider, but this is just the first one. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at it further and we're going to take it. But also what you need to do is give yourself a big tick. Well done for setting that up. But also we now need to take the jigsaw number 1 and score it in red, amber or green. Okay, so we're going to go to the side and we're going to do it. But also, this age group, it doesn't matter what age group you're in, okay? It doesn't matter. These are people I deal with, the young people and all the way to much, much older. And I'm going to take this on with you next time, but I'm just going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually take my mug with me, which is, hello, I'm in the 40 group up above. So, you know, well, I'm going to look at this and we're going to come back to it next time. But let's look at how this one gets you to number 1 on the board where we're going to go. See you soon. I wish I had the 30 group actually, but never mind. Even the 20 group, nice, isn't it? Stop. Go. Hello and welcome back to EasyBoard's Whiteboard, and nice to see you again. But look what we've done so far. We've moved forward. We're going to just explain how this works, and we've gone on a completely different subject, which is something that is very important as well, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to show you how this works again. In the bronze section, which you know about, we're already looking at the section now, and that is section number 2. And you remember what number 2 was about. It was all about money this time, right? Okay, that's very important. And what we're going to do in this one is, even though we're going to concentrate on the money, we're going to do it in 5 minutes, right? So we're going to do much quicker. 5 minutes, and this is because we've already got the structure set up. But what we're also meant to make sure is that you've got a little sheet and you're editing that as well. It's going to be done very quickly, right? So why are we going to do this very quickly, and why is it important? It's super important because money is relevant to everybody and it starts to bring in a lot more detail. But what we want to focus on is just why do we want to do something. We're going to stick with the black fact, right? And we still want to go back to the existing stuff we did before, and we're going to show you in a very interesting way why. And you're going to sort of learn, some people are going to learn where this is going, and you're going to project it. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you when it comes to money, most people think it's one of the most important things in their lives. But everybody is so focused on money, they want to make sure that gives them the nice results at the end, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to say, okay, last time we did the basic plan and we did ages, right? And that's it. This time we're going to do it slightly different. So I want to go back all the way to the age of 25. And in your position, we want you to mark, what did you earn? You know, what was your money? And this is in little privacy of your own, but what was the money you earned to age 25, right? And then also, today, the current position you're in, how much money do you earn now? Is it higher or lower? What is that position? So we've got those two bits there. So it's the earnings in the history of the past and the earnings that you currently have now, right? So it doesn't matter what the one's bigger or the other, it's just having that structure set. Now what we're also going to just understand is that if it is either all the same amount of money that it was in the past, or has there been an increase in the money? And what's happened there is that there's a certain angle of increase that you actually understand where we're going, but at the same time we're trying to say what is happening with you just when we've moved from this position to this position. Do you feel much better if your money's increased? And my position was, when it first started, I earned £12,000, right, when I first graduated and worked. And last year what I did is I earned £70,000, right? So that's quite a big difference, quite a big angle, but all you to do is put your angle on there. Then what we're going to do is take this further. So what we're going to do, we still have to get Mr. Checklist to understand what we're doing, and he wants to know some facts. So number 4 is going to be money, right? And all in number 4, he wants to know, this one is 4A, which is the earnings at 25, and this one is 4B, which is the earnings you have currently, right? So what we then say here is this: in A, that was 12,000, 12K, and in B, that was 70K, right? So that's what you've then just done there. You've not just done the basic lines, but you're still staying with the facts, right? So then you're working on here with Mr. Money, and checklist area is making sure you understand what's going on too. So what we're going to do is say, wow, we've constructed that. Again, if you're struggling with the numbers, put an exact, not an exact one, but an example or a suggestion. And also, if you can't put money in the checklist, just put a question mark and we'll go back to it. But the most important thing is you're starting to build something up in the bronze section. It's facts, okay? So what we're going to do, if you don't focus on this, you will not be able to take it further. And once you've done that, you're going to be in a better solutional area. So what we're going to do, we're going to now score it. And you're going to score number 2 as red, amber or green. And then we're going to go to the other side and we're going to work out what it is. But as soon as you get your tick, there you go. What do you do next? Now, with the money, it's all about whatever currency it is, doesn't really matter. It's all about you feel for the money. And even with how money is used, and the currency is very important. But if I say, okay, which was the biggest dollar note? What was the biggest dollar note? Would it be $100? Would it be bigger than that? Yeah. So all I'm going to ask you to do is say, okay, well, what do you think it is? But we'll bring the biggest dollar note around next time. Okay. Right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get you the board. I'm going to go do this in, and I'll see you there soon. Oh, and I might need just a little bit for lunch. Stop. Go. Three, two, one. Hello and welcome back to Easy Boards yet again, and we know we're in the big boards section, right? So what we've done, we've come from the other side again and we moved up a level into a different section, but what we want to know is where are we? Well, guess what? Still in the bronze, obviously, but we're taking it a little bit further even in the bronze. I'm going to explain that in 2 seconds. So what we're going to do is we're then going to say, right, and not only that, but we're in section number 3, right? And section number 3, or jigsaw number 3, is called the forward looking, right? So fine, so we're going to start looking very forward, but we're also going to do this very quick because for the forward looking, we're going to do it in 6 minutes, right? We're going to take it all the way through and we're going to do it in 6 minutes or minutes, right? And even in the car example that we know we're running, this time we're talking about, as we do in the example, when I start off and I drive in the car and I start moving forward, I need to have a clear view through the window, right? I need to make sure that's going to work, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to get on that pretty quick and all to get the answers for you, and we're going to start doing something that means we're not just based on the facts, but we are based on the blue pen, which is all about the forward thought. So are you ready? Let's go. Right, so what we did last time, we did the basic line, you just did the time. Then we said, what have been you used to money? How have you been used to money? You did the earnings. And then what we got to the position of the time, today, earnings next. And what we're just going to do is we're already here, we're ready to go forward. So this is a little bit harder, But what we want to do is say, this is your income today, and this is your age, right? This is what you've done on your sheet, right? So what we're going to do now is say even a little further. What I want you to think about, and that's part of this issue, a bit harder, is how long, 2 things, how long do you want to keep doing this process? For how many years? How is it going to work? I'm going to give you my example. What I want to do, I'm 43 now, and I want to stop doing this at 53. Right? So that's all I'm doing is I'm putting that as the blue item because it's forward thought. It could change, it could be before, it could be after, but this stage, this is just what I think it is. It's, to me, there's no right or wrong. But what does that mean also? Part 2 of that is that what is my income going to be? Because I'm currently used to this one. When I get to there, what will my final income be? Will it shoot through the roof? Will it go right up because it's so much more experience? Will it be just exactly the same? Or at 53 in my last year of working, it might be just going down a bit. Which is the one? Well, what I think is it's still, with me, it still should go up a little bit. I think it'll be another increase in what I'm doing. And I'm going to put a figure of, I think that should go up to 90k. Right? So that's another window, but it says, okay, there's that 90k. It's all in the blue, and there's 2 things. One is the 53 age, and one is the 90k. Now it could move forward and back on both occasions, but what I want to know is that this is where I'm starting to take things forward. I'm bringing planning into it now. So also what we need to know is that this, on a level basis, and what's happening is this is slightly increasing. There's another element there, but what's more important at this stage is we also need to move Mr. Checklist or Captain Checklist. He needs to record this. So what we need now know in 5, it's not about money, it's about forward age. So it's last year, right? So that, for me, is number 5, and that is just going to be marked down as 5, which is 53. Right, so 53. And 6, another number, is the money. So what we need to know here is the last money. Right, now for me, this one is going to be 90k. Right, so this is 5 and this is 6. Right, so what it then means is we've recorded that, we've done it. Again, for this section, that's it. So, bang, well done, you've done it, but something different here as you moved forward. forward, right? So again, we need to just make sure that we get this done correctly. And why it's important to follow it is because if you look at the whole thing, you're starting to build something up and take it further. Not just the facts, but we now intervened and brought in the thought process, right? But we're looking forward. And what's the important thing is, now we got to do is score it. So even we're going to take number 3. And are we going to score it red, amber or green? Which is red, I'm not even sure, I haven't got a clue. Is it the amber that's going to score it as, I think this is okay, but I want to take it further? Or is it green, which is fine? I know it's going to be like this is situation, right? Okay, so with number 3, we're going to take it further and we're going to take it to the next board, right? But before we get there, what are we trying to do? Well, people are very different in how they work, and some people will take the view that they'll say, oh, I'll take my binoculars and I'll try and look a bit further forward and see what I can get. And that is they'll make decisions and ideas on that. But they've also got other people who've got a bigger way of saying, okay, well, I'll look a bit further forward and I'll see, and I might get better decisions. So it's almost just which one are you going to take on board to try and help you see, and everybody's different. But sometimes, because it's not normal, a bit of help helps you look, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to get on with this one, and I'm going to see you soon on the other side. See you there. But also, I want to know the detail too. So it's all about the situation of not just the long view, but the short view too. And I want to know what the heck's going on. But I'll come back to that one. See you soon. But I also want to know it in a big level of detail, so we got to look at it inside. But I'll discuss this later. See you in a sec. Hello and welcome to Easy Boards yet again. Yeah, brilliant. You've clicked on the button and welcome to the next bit, which is not bronze, it's silver. Right, so what you've done, we've moved up to silver and we're going to explain what that means. We've also moved up to the blue pen, which is slightly different. So silver in the control position is all about thought, right? So it's all about the thought process that we have to do. And what we're going to do in here is actually explain that in a lot of detail. But the most important thing is understanding, do you remember what the jigsaw is we're bringing through? It's 4. And number 4 we're at, that is all about the forward thought, right? So it's slightly different to the forward look. This is the forward thought. And because it's a thought and the whole of silver is a thought, I'm going to explain this to you in a second, but we're also going to do it very quickly. We're going to do it in 5 minutes because again, this is all about getting to the point very quickly because we're in this example, but you'll see how it works. And even with the subject of the car, where this is all about, even when you have the car, it's about having a map and knowing where you're going to go, because when you pick your destination, if you go from A to B, it doesn't even matter which technical way you go, because there's different options, and to think about the right one to go means you could get where you want to get to. But we're going to do it a little bit quicker. We're going to do it in the same way we did it before. I'm going to quickly remind you on the stuff you've just done, and also we're going to learn a little more about the forwardness. It's a little bit more difficult, okay? So we're going to do it very quick, but are you ready? Let's go. Right, so the quick summary is we did the black line, which is all about the facts, and it's all about the ages of that. Me and there at 43, which is me old, me now. And it also said, okay, the next bit I want to know the income, and that was in number 2. And then the next one is a bit of a forward thought, but we're still in the bronze section. We're going all the way to think, okay, maybe when you do stop work or you don't have to do this all the time, I've picked a position. It doesn't have to be correct, it doesn't have to be right, but it's what you feel is reasonable. What we're going to do with the blue pen is say, I also want to know something else, but it's a little bit further forward, a little bit harder still. At the age of 53, if I stop and I've got an income of this, my income's going to stop. I'm going to need money from somewhere. I'm going to pull money in from somewhere else. But what is that money going to be? I need to set it. So I know it's going to be at the age of 54. So you say the following year, I don't work in the way I want to. And how much do I want? Well, it's decisions. Some people want more than that. Some people want the same money. Some people want a lot less money. It just depends. But I'm going to pick a number, and I think it's probably right for me, and I want to have 45,000. So that 45,000 there is in that area, but it's the 45k, but that's all it is, because it's a forward thought. There's a lot to consider in it, but this is all I want to do at this stage. So that is the end of that. And it's the same in the car, is when I've got that map, and I don't have to get it exactly right, but it is something that I'm clearer on it, I'm going to get a better result. So what we're going to do, we're only going to say, okay, there's one other little thing to do before we get this scored. And what we need to do is we need to know for how long do I want that 45k to be provided for me. How long do I want it to keep like that? Do I want it to be the same? But the point is, it doesn't have to be correct. I've just marked it up as a position. Now, Mr. Checklist wants to understand how he's going to register this. So he's got number 7, and what we're going to call that is something slightly different. But we're on number 7A, and that's the 45k, and that is the future income. That's all we're calling it at this stage, the future income, and that is 45k. Right, so he's now happy that I've scored that and we got through that. So what we're going to do is also put a green tick on there, because we've done that whole thing and we've got through to that bit. So what we're also going to do now is we're going to score number 4. And is it a red, amber, green? It might be not easily such a big green this time, because it might be I'm not 100% sure what I want to do. But when I'm looking at something like this, it's in blue. I'll show you what I'm going to score mine in a second. But more importantly, what we're actually going to do is, when you're dealing with something of the sorts, it can be hard, it can be a difficult one, but it doesn't have to be super correct, because you're planning the forward future, right? You're planning something you're going to take a bit further. So don't have to be super correct. It's not like the black facts, it's slightly different, right? Okay, you ready? I'm going to see you in the next bit, and we're going to put it on your board and see how you're progressing. Okay, see you soon. Hello and welcome back to Easy Boards again, and guess what? We're at the next jigsaw piece, but also guess what? We're not in bronze, are we? No, we've now moved up and we're on to the silver level, right? Okay. Now this is very important, because this is not just the basic stuff, but it is actually the next level up. So it's actually pushing further forward, right? And that's why instead of the black pen here, we're going to be using the blue pen. And what is this all about? So this is the silver area, and also it's about thoughts, right? So we want you to just have a think about this. It's a little bit harder to do than the basic facts, which is a black pen. But not just that, we're at jigsaw number 4. And what was this about? The title of this was the forward position again, like last time when we used the blue, but this is all specifically about the thoughts, not just the looking. So we have to think it through. We're also going to do it in 5 minutes, right? So that's all the time it's going to take, 5 minutes. And in the car example that we used, because we're trying to give you an example, we're driving along in a car. This is all about having some kind of decision on your map, right? Which way to go. It can be one way or the other. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a certain way. But what we're going to do is try and plan something out, and then we're going to go further forward with it. Right, so is it important for you? Oh my goodness, yeah. Forward thinking means you can get together and put things together and think it through and make decisions better, right? So that's what we're going to spend the time on. We're going to do it very quickly as well, because most people, we know they're very busy people, they haven't got the time for it. So even if you can't get the right numbers, it just means putting down some approximate feeling, okay? So what we're going to do we're going to use the big whiteboards to go through it. We're going to build the foundations higher, and now we're starting to build the walls as well, in fact. So what's the most important thing and what's the most interesting way we're going to do it in? Well, I'm going to demonstrate it further, but this thought process gets taken a lot further if you remember for that example. So we're going to do it, and you want it exactly, you can follow me because I'm going to do it, but at the same time we want you to do it on your sheet and try and put something together. So you're going to do it fairly interesting, and hopefully you're going to enjoy it. Now, are you ready? Okay, let's do it. Right, the reminder from previous, we did the black line, so it's a black fact with the time and then put the ages on. We figured out the next one, part 2, and we did the income levels for the history and now. We always then got in the blue pen and we were up to the bronze level, but we then said, okay, we're going to start thinking further forward, and it was just when might a stop worker get ahead of that and what the income might be, and I was ahead of the current income, but other people were different. This one, we're still in blue because it's forward, but we're not now trying to just do anything basic. We're trying to think further forward and need to know two things. That is, number one, we know the age after this is ended for you. So that's my last work day or year, and that's my income there. Well, at age 54, one of the questions is what kind of income would you want to keep going? Now, you're not working, but you do need income to make things happen. But what do we do? So for me, I'm just going to give you an example. I wanted 50% of the money so I can do things I want to do and in a certain way, and 50% of that was 45k, right? Okay, that's fine. So what it means is there's another question to ask you as well, and that's also about how long do you want that amount of money for? Right? So it's a big thought process, and what you have to do is you have to then start thinking about, when you start going further forward, you have to make some kind of decisions at some point, but it is the case of we're not really sure exactly what we're going to do. It doesn't matter, because all we're going to have to do is build in this position of you thinking it through. And you don't have to decide 100%, right? You just have to start on an initial position, and then we go further than that. So that is all we're going to do today, because in that safe, straightforward example, what you've now done is you've taken it a bit further forward, and Mr. Checklist will want to know a register on this. So he knows the ages, but he wants to know this, which is number 7A. And number 7 is all about future income. Right? Number 7 is all about future income, and for me that was 45k. Okay, now then, what we're going to do next is give yourself a big green tick. Well done. But the most important bit is to take it, number 4, and you're going to score it red, amber or green. So hold on with me, because what I'm now going to do is I'm going to get over the other side and show you what I think, or mine, right? So can't wait to see you soon. See you there. Choo. One. Hello and welcome back to Easy Boards again, and we've moved on to a different level now, but you know we are still in silver, and what we're going to do in silver is all about the forward thought. So what we're going to do is we're going to explain all this, what it means, but it's a certain bit of a subject which is all about jigsaw piece 5. And you remember what jigsaw piece 5 is all about. Jigsaw piece 5 is all about the assets, right? Now that's a big topic and a big word, but we want to know about the assets, right? And we're going to do this in a few more minutes, but not longer. We're going to do this in 7 minutes, right? So this one on the minutes is going to be 7 minutes. After that, we're also got an example to talk about, which is all about still the car example, which is the car. And in this example, we'll show you why it's still relevant even to something very straightforward, right? So what we're going to do, is this important? Oh my goodness, yes. Assets are very, very important, because they are something that everybody is going to try to build up and will live off in the future, right? So what we want to make sure is that you get this thought process done, and that's what we're using using is the blue pen. But not just that, we're using the black pen, and this is a mixture of the black facts and the blue forward thought, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to show you how that is, but we're going to get off on it quite quickly, and you're going to find it quite interesting, I hope. So are you ready? Right, let's do it. Okay, so the quick history and where we are. In part one, we did the plan, we did the timeline, we put the ages down, then we said, okay, the income that we've been doing is this, and it's changed over time to that. We also said going forward, we think this will be the position, because when I'm using the blue pen, I'm just giving it a forward thought that I'll get to a certain age here, and as I want the income of this, that'll be my last day of working. After that, once across the bridge, I wouldn't mind having an income and a lifestyle of this, and that's going forward. And the question was, for how long? That was an interesting bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take it a little bit further, and we're going to use the black and the blue mix. We're going to start first with the black one, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So for the asset base, what we want to know is all the way back at 25, we wanted to know what was the asset base then. So this is asset base, or the asset collection, the monies and things you had. Let's just call it the asset base. What do you think it was worth? And that's number one, right? So what you want to do is just to put an amount in the box, right? That's box one. But also what we're going to do is say actually the fact of the situation today. So in the 70 age income amount, we're going to say, okay, there's another asset base here. But this one is slightly different. It might be a bit larger, you know, I'm not really sure, but this is asset base 2, and what we want to know in this one is also number 2's value and what is that worth. So we want to put it in that section there. But also there's a little element in this one that's got the irrelevance that we did have in the first section, which is the asset base has a platform level, but also it may be that this is also increased with your income. But how much? But it's also possible that it might have gone down, okay? So we just want to know what that feature is, but that's when we've used the black pen. So then we get to the blue pen, right? And then we say, okay, fine. At this point here, when you stop work and we trace that up, we also know what the assets are there. And it may be that the assets, and I'm using this example still, this is asset base 3, but the asset base 3 might be bigger, right? Asset base number 3. So what we also need to know is what is the amount there, right? So not only that, is we've also got the same proposition there, that we have a ground level and we've had something that looks like it's increased, but by how much we want to know. So what we're going to do, we're going to just make sure we've used both of these, but in that position, you're then going to say, okay, Mr. Check will want to know what's going on. So Mr. Check says he's going to record this in part of the thing he's going to use in the future as we go in the plan. So this is number 8, and this is your assets. And what he wants to know at this stage, this is 8A, and he wants to know what that number was. He also has this one, 8B, and that's all the other number is in the black facts area. He wants to know what that was too. But so this means in the asset base in A, he wants to know what that is there, and he wants to know what it is in B, right? So you need to add that number. Now, it might be a case that it's the same position. I'm not 100% sure about these numbers, but it doesn't matter. It's actually something you've got the space to fill, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to give that to him, and look what you've done. It's completely for a mixture of the far forward thing and the backwards fact thing that we've worked together. But we know also there's an immediate solution that needs to be based because it's all about how the future is going to generate. So what you want to do is say, okay, if you don't do something like this, you're going to slowly go through the process of time and not have an idea. So what we're going to do this time is you're going to give this a big tick. Because again, it's different for everybody. But even in the asset base example, when we're dealing with the car, it is that whoever you are, some people have a very different car, might have a very small Mini, or I might drive an enormous Rolls Royce, you know, but everybody's different. And if you drive a Rolls Royce, you'll need different things than you do if you drive a tiny little Mini. It doesn't matter. It's just the facts at this stage mixed with the forward thought, right? So also what we want you to do is to take number 5 and score it, right? So it's red, amber or green. If red, I haven't got the faintest idea, you're going to have to go back to it. Amber is I need a bit of help, you still might have to go back to it a bit. The green is I know these things inside out. Carry on, Paul. Yeah, so what we're going to do is score this, I'm going to take it through, and I'll see you soon. Hello, and this is the big trip event where all I'm doing is give you a 30-second trip event. So what you're going to do is just discuss what are we going to be talking about. Well, you need to discuss it with other people, but the biggest issue here is how fast can you move? How fast can you do it? Some people are very fast and some people are a bit slower and try to do something. And the most important thing to do is to build a lovely habit, and that's all it needs to be. It needs to be just building a habit that you're going to get into something and get things done. It doesn't mean you have to do this yet or you have to do that yet. It just means get into the habit of doing it, right? That's all this one is. Hold for 30 seconds, but that's the big message. Get into a habit. See you soon.